Before we start today's podcast, I just have one question for you. Have you got your Christmas present yet? Maybe two questions. Are you still looking for a Christmas present? Because if you are, if you're still figuring it out, why not consider Folklory? And Terence, what is Folklory?
Your Folklory is something that we conceived, which is we preserve your family memories as personal podcasts. And I think the reception so far to all the customers that we've served has been pretty amazing because everyone has told us it's such a unique gift and unlike anything that they've given or received before.
And if you're wondering what do we mean by turning family memories into personal podcasts, basically, whomever you want us to talk to, we have a conversation with them, we turn it into a podcast that we give to you. So it's a way to save memories as like a time capsule, you know. And we know that it sounds like a foreign concept, which is why we recently launched a sister podcast, if you may. It's called Folklory Stories, where we actually have uploaded full-length folklories that we have published with the permission from customers, so you can get an idea of what a folklory is. You can listen to it, you can see how we do the interviews, and the reason why these customers allowed us to make their folklories public is because they loved the gift that we created for them. So if you want a gift for someone you love for this Christmas that maybe you're still looking for, just head on over to our website at folklory.com. That's folklory.com, and we can get something to you in a matter of weeks. Alright, so check it out, and we will be sharing more about this in coming podcasts, so stay tuned. There might even be some promos. And now, on to the podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terence?
Good old racist humor. No, just kidding.
Good old racist humor
cancel
from your
us.
friendly neighborhood interracial podcasters.
Yeah, we're the only ones that can really like just outright say, "Hey, we're gonna partake in a bit of racially charged discussions."
Like a disclaimer that Dave Chappelle gave before his latest SNL monologue, which has gotten some flack. Have you seen?
Yeah. No, I haven't seen it. But is there your one shook thing or something that you're gonna talk
Oh
about?
no. It's not.
Okay.
So just now when I was saying the intro and realizing that it's already November, did we start the year doing three episodes a week, or was it something this year that we evolve?
It's been 3 for as long as I can remember. As in,
I know
been quite a
December
while.
we took a bit of a hiatus because I was traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe three episodes a week. Now we're at episode 340 already, is it?
No, 33. This is 339. Yeah.
339.
Yeah.
Wow, gonna hit 350 soon.
Yeah.
Who would have thought when we first started that we hit 350 episodes?
Yeah.
And we're not gonna stop. Like, gotta hit about 1,000.
Correct. But yeah, I mean, we that's not our topic lah. Dave Chappelle is not our topic.
Oh yeah, like it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, but in general, I think you've
Don't
already
so aggro, Terence.
No, but you've already given a plug, lah, right? Yes, and you are moving the ship forward without telling the rest of the crew that you're moving the ship forward. And that's the annoying thing, you know. Like you already set sail and you're giving the plug without even saying that it's the plug. So everybody, that was the plug. Yeah.
No, that was not the plug. That was just a wave and a wind, and I let it chart our sail lah. But now I'm bringing it back on course and letting you take the wheel, Terence.
Okay. There's an iceberg ahead. But anyway, yeah, there is as always, you know, like we have just been pumping out almost 350 episodes already. But I guess if any one of these episodes has touched you, please let someone know about it or leave us a good review wherever you listen to this podcast. That helps us a lot.
Yeah, man. Cool.
All
right. Are we ready to move forward?
Yes. Iceberg straight ahead. Yeah.
Okay, iceberg straight ahead. A white iceberg, incidentally.
Oh, okay. All right, we're going there. Okay.
No, it is a very focused topic that was serious enough to make the first topic, and it is a recent TikTok video released by an individual in Singapore that claimed that Singapore as a country that we need to grow up because there's a rampant racism in Singapore. He's an expat. And he released a maybe 2 to 3 minute video talking about a recent experience with his condo guardhouse that made him want to make a video talking about racism in general in Singapore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, when we were talking about this, I thought it had blown up to the max, but it hasn't blown up like millions of views yet, lah, or ever, right?
I mean, there is an article on Asia One about it, and I think it's quite hotly discussed. I think on the Singapore subreddit as well. So and I believe there's a, it's a bit more nuanced story than what the headlines would have you to believe, lah. Right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So maybe just to go through the high level of what he said in case you haven't seen the video. He just recorded it in his living room. He's a British expat, and he started off by saying that, okay, you would think racism is non-existent, it's 2022, but he's seen some things in Singapore for the past 5 years that he has been here that made him, like in his words, speechless, lah. So a recent example from this past Sunday was when he had like a gathering plan for him and his team with more than 50 colleagues, and it was supposed to be at West Coast Park.
Yeah.
But it was raining, so he invited them to his condo. And while he was in his apartment, he got a call from one of his colleagues saying the guardhouse is not letting them in because they're asking for their work pass, or they're saying because their work pass, they can't enter.
Yeah.
And then he went on to say he went to the guardhouse. He was fuming. He told them he's an EP pass holder. He's got people who are S passes, locals, and all his teammates who are working with him. And then he said, and I quote, just because they have a certain skin color and nationality, you decide to question them and ask them for their pass. What are you doing? It's fucking nuts. And that the condo security staff, instead of holding them up at the guardhouse, should have called him to verify that, okay, the migrant workers are his guests. And then he ends off by saying, Singapore, you need to grow up. You need to get out of your mindset. Get me out of this country. I'm done. Yeah. So
outrage, racism, discrimination, Singapore.
Outrage, racism.
And being told by a foreigner.
It checks all the boxes of the things that checks all the boxes.
No, the one thing that wasn't checked was that he switched off comments on this video. So you can't really immediately see the reactions to it.
Yeah, exactly. So when did you first catch wind of this, or what made you want to talk about it?
I think I saw the article, saw it on Reddit, and then I think it's a very common experience, right? That when you hear about migrant workers and people being discriminated in terms of service, in terms of like access to places because of their skin color, right? I think there were last time there were all these things about should domestic helpers be allowed to use the swimming pool, condominiums, and things like that, because there's this very delicate balance between for example, is your domestic helper working with you, or is she living with you as a resident and all? And so the people, there's a lot of places where people debate, and there are a lot of different opinions about how this kind of situation should be handled. But I think this one is particularly interesting because it's a foreign expatriate who's living and working in Singapore, bringing up family in Singapore, who's saying that he's done with Singapore. So those worst fears that people say about, if Singapore is not open, it's not an open society, if it's racist and people are discriminated against, there will be foreign talent, so to speak, who will not want to live in Singapore, right? And so this cuts to the economic bottom line of Singapore, and it's something that I think is much more worth discussing, right? Than just about how we treat each other in Singapore. But how about you? What do you think when you first heard of this story and all?
At first, I thought, I'm like, okay, it seems like these videos are getting more and more rampant, right?
What kind of videos are you talking about?
Like a foreigner making a video about Singapore and complaining about racism. Because just this past week, there was another article about, what was that? Singapore is dirty as fuck.
Really?
Tourist complaints about country mock 7-Eleven stuff in video. So I saw that. I mean,
and then there are all these guys, all these foreigners on our SQ flights, like being unruly and attacking the stewards and stewardesses and all, right?
That video was insane, man.
Yeah.
Like just watching it, like what is in his mind? But anyway, so this one, when I first saw the video, I was a bit confused, admittedly, because initially when he said 50 friends, and then they were stopped for work, like at the security guard house and all, and he was complaining about racism. I won't deny that my first thought was that, oh, it's all like Caucasian expats. And then I was thinking, oh shit, why is he complaining? It's like a gathering of 50 people, you know, like if there's an influx, there will always be concerns. But then I saw the video he uploaded, I think the day after, where he was sitting in his car. Did you see the video?
I haven't seen the follow-up video.
Yeah, so he just recorded a video of him sitting in his car saying, hey guys, you know, good morning. Just wanted to spread some positive vibes. I had to turn off the comments on my previous video because there was just a lot of negativity and slander. And one thing I did take away, and I do admit, is that there's racism everywhere, but we can all do better. And it's not just in Singapore. And then he said, I still don't want to ruin the wonderful day I had with my colleagues. So here are some photos of what happened. So he shared photos. And that was when I realized, oh, most of his colleagues are darker skinned migrant workers.
Okay.
So initially I thought, so I don't know, does that make me a racist? When he said that he had 50 friends who were coming out, all white people. Then I saw the photo. There was that gives a bit more context, lah. And that's why I thought this whole thing was interesting. Then I rewatched his initial TikTok video, because his accent is quite strong. And then he said, the 20 to 30 of his colleagues were not being let in because they were holding work pass. So when he said that he's an EP, there were locals, there were S passes, I'm assuming they were the ones let in, lah. But the work passes were not let in. So then I rewatched both videos over and over again, and then I was reading comments online. So I mean, he did upload a video. I don't think there was anything more than what I just said, because it was him sitting in his car.
Correct.
But what are your overall thoughts about it? Like everything that's unfolded.
I mean, speaking from my moral high ground, obviously I think if everything that we take everything at face value and say that it's true, right? It's kind of screwed up, right? That only certain people of a skin color were questioned and all that. Because I think like you say, if it was all Caucasians or white people, would they face that same kind of issue, right? So definitely there definitely can be a case for immediate outrage in these kind of situations. And I can imagine him at that point of time, it just seems crazy or illogical and racist, and therefore he felt compelled to call it out and put it out as such. But at the same time, I mean, we're only really hearing his side of the story, right? And we don't 100% know, is it really like only the dark-skinned people singled out in the instance of the 20 to 30 people being kept out of the condo, because that's what he says it is, right? But do we know that if that's 100% the truth? I think that one we have to. I would love to hear the condo security side of the story, but they probably wouldn't want to comment on it, But yeah, so I think we're only hearing one side of the story. But how about you, from your moral high ground? Like, what is your immediate thought? What were your immediate thoughts?
My moral high ground is so high that I can't see much because I'm above the clouds.
Yeah.
But I will try. I will try. I mean, I when I saw the photos of his colleagues, I was like, oh, okay, then it's an issue, lah. But then I also feel that this is just one side, because I mean, I have family that stay in condo. I don't stay in condo, but I know that condo, and I have friends also who stay in condos, right? And I know the management, it does differ condo to condo, right?
Yeah,
some condos you can just walk in and they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Some they're like, you have to write down your full name, contact number, call the person. So that varies, right? And I can't imagine if there's an influx of people coming that it might be a little concerning, lah. So like I can imagine some pushback. But then also the fact that they are allegedly singling out the work passes, that also I can imagine. I know way back there was once when this was 2008 when I was still like a young, impressionable boy. Came back from uni during summer, and I went for my internship at a company. At the company that at one company. So when I walked in, it was the first meeting where I needed to go collect something. So I went in. Uh, and the first thing, the person said, very nice auntie. She said, "Oh, you're here for the security guard job, is it?" Then, then I was like, I mean, like that I still remember that thing. Like, I mean, not shitting on security guards or something, but based on what they saw on first impression, they assume a certain thing, lah. And
Why do you
over the
think so?
years,
Maybe she just really was just, whether you're Chinese or Indian or what, she would have asked you the same thing, lah. How do you know? How
so
do you
that
know
is-
for 100% is because of your
correct.
skin color?
That is another layer that we cannot downplay also. Because
Yeah.
I've also heard some of my relatives say that when they go on a bus and they sit next to someone and the person rubs their nose, right? They say, yeah, because they can't stand our smell. But then I'm like, maybe they just had an itchy nose. Like I rub my nose in public, you know? But then
Yeah.
also the backlash to that is, oh, are you trivializing actual microaggressions? You know, why are you so laissez-faire about this? Why are you so it is a real problem. So
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, whoa, fuck. And because it's so complicated, when I see a video like this, there's just one side. And for him, I don't know if that blanket statement I felt was a bit too far reaching. That, Singapore
Yeah.
definitely has racism.
Yeah.
But if you're sharing your side, you don't know what was happening. And I don't know, man. It's a confusing thing.
And there was even, I would even say that there's some kind of entrapment. There's a racist mental entrapment going on with his video. Like he
Wow,
released
that's a
this
big
video,
word,
right?
man.
Yeah, I mean, I'll explain what it is. He released the video. It says that the security guards stop people because of their work pass, to ask for their work pass, and say that work pass holders are not allowed, right? And like you, like that, I guess. Depends on how closely you watch the video. I think a lot of people watched it and just immediately assumed that when they say work pass, it must be, dark-skinned migrant workers, And so when you make that assumption that just because someone is on the work pass and then that means they must be dark-skinned migrant workers, that makes you a racist just for thinking that, for watching the video and thinking that, you see. So there's almost like some kind of like racial framework entrapment there. Like it makes you immediately start thinking of things in the, from the framework of race, lah. And that's where I found, and you can see this literally some of the reactions on Reddit, like people are like, oh, they're just assuming that just because they're Indian. And then someone was like, how do you know they were Indian? Just because he says work pass or dark skin doesn't necessarily mean that they're Indian, So that's racist.
I thought they were white. So am I not racist because I thought they were white?
Oh yeah, you reverse lah. You are like you think that because white they must be damn good. Come on, that's racist. That's racist. So there was some entrapment going on there. So that's where like you, I felt like it was a very broad strokes that he painted about racism and discrimination in Singapore, and not really hearing what the condo side is saying. You only see half the picture, lah. Because I mean, like you, lah, like, and 50 people entering a house. I know we're not in COVID times anymore, but if you're a security guard, like you, it's probably just you and one colleague, managing like I don't know how many units, lah. There's always a protocol you have to follow. And then if you don't follow that protocol, or you're caught not following that protocol, you'll probably lose your job, lah. You'll very quickly get complaints or you'll lose your job. Because letting 50 people into a condo is it's a very that's a lot of people. And then after that, you'll probably be dealing with a lot of phone calls complaining about noise and all things like that, right? So maybe the condo has some kind of protocol where if there's a large number of people going to one unit, you need to check that, they're not like trying to secretly do whatever it is, renovation work or anything like that. Like, cause this kind of shit does happen, right? Where in certain, in the condo, the rules are that you can't do construction work at a certain time or you can't do it on a weekend. But some people still, they don't care. They just bring their contractors in and the contractors still do their thing, lah. And then there's drilling on at 6 p.m. on a Saturday. It happens, So, like maybe the condo management has some really has some protocols that aren't great, that aren't keeping up with the times or are a bit discriminatory towards some people, and they need to amend that, lah. But I would, in that sense, I wouldn't say it's the security guard himself being racist, like, you know. It could be a management and institutional thing, and I think that needs to be addressed. Because I've been in a situation where I've called an ambulance to my condo, and then ambulance came, picked up everyone, and then as the ambulance is trying to exit, the security guard suddenly stops the ambulance and like starts asking questions about, oh, you know, what hospital are you going? What unit were you from?
Huh?
Yeah. So I'm like, at that point, I was following the ambulance and I was like, Uncle, can you don't ask this question? I'm trying to rush my kid to the hospital now. Please don't. All these things we can deal with later. It's not important. You know, and I definitely felt emotional. I felt angry towards the guy. I was like, why are you being such a boomer by doing all this when I just want to get my kid to the hospital? But the more I thought about it, I didn't realize it's not him. It's the protocol that he has to follow. He's trying to follow a protocol that is probably a very stupid protocol. And if any complaint should be made, it should be made to the condo management and not to the security guard, right? So yeah, I mean, I can understand the guy was very emotional. That's why he probably made this video. But I think he should take it up with his management first about their policies, rather than singling out the security guards or being or Singaporeans, for that matter, for being racist, right?
Yeah, because even my brother stays in a condo, and when he was doing his renovations, I was there kind of like helping out once in a while, and I remember one instance where there was a delivery that was done, or like some people my brother got to pick up some furniture, came after 6. And there was a rule, you know, that the people cannot come at 6 after 6, and the security guard was very adamant, and the security guard is a very sweet auntie. Like I've seen her many times, and she was like very, very, no, this cannot. And I mean, in the end, we managed to finish it by like 6:15, so it was fine. But after that, the next day, I just went and said, okay, I'm sorry, auntie. Then she said, yeah, I'm also sorry, but last time I really kena scolded.
Yeah.
I really kena scolded by the boss, you know, like someone did this, and I cannot be scolded again. Then, like what you said, then I'm like, wow, fuck, these people, they are ultimately, even if they disagree, they kind of have to follow it, because their jobs are almost, unfortunately, like replaceable, like, you know. And it's a very sad truth that their job, like, I think every day, sometimes when you see them act somewhat unreasonably, I think you can understand, man. Like, it's so easy. First of all, another instance also at the same condo was like, I think it was a festive time, either Christmas or Chinese New Year or something. And when people book the function room, there were guest visitor lots lah.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of cars that come in, but because all the guest visitor lots were taken up, and some other guests of other people came and they couldn't park, then the people started calling the guardhouse saying, why are you letting so many cars? And then the security guards gonna scold again.
Yeah.
Then when they stop the guests from parking in, they gonna scolded. So that's why this guy, like, doesn't seem like he reached out to the management, doesn't seem like he did anything else. And that's why I watched the video, I'm like, yeah, it's just one of those things that I think it polarizes more than does anything else.
Yeah. And then the subsequent videos, okay, now there's a lot of negative feedback on my video, and so I'm posting a video about positive vibes only.
Yeah, so when you watch the video, I mean, clearly the negativity, I mean, I got to him because you can see, but it feels like it's almost like, okay, it's justified that he released the video. I mean, okay, he wants to release the video, fine, but I guess it's maybe that kind of like blanket statements that's quite unsettling. But on the flip side, if you recall, like earlier this year, there was someone who posted on TikTok about his losing his wallet, but it being returned with all of the cash still inside, like $460.
Yeah.
That was him.
Oh, it's him as well. Positive vibes.
It's the same guy.
Yeah.
Positive vibes, man. Positive vibes.
Well, then shouldn't that cancel out him being done with Singapore? Like, he should be like, oh, Singapore's so awesome. But now he's like, I'm so done with Singapore.
Yeah. So, don't know. Like, he's an interesting character.
Emotional lah. He's definitely feeling emotional about what happened lah, right? And maybe what he said was more out of emotion than anything lah. Like, is he really going to uproot and leave Singapore? I don't know. Maybe. Let's see.
Yeah, because I mean, there is racism in Singapore. Don't get me wrong. There's racism. There's discrimination in Singapore. It is a fucking problem. Yeah. But when you take an isolated thing like this and you make a video and it just goes viral. I don't know. It just does more to polarize people.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to trivialize or make light of a situation. But remember, like when we're still reeling from COVID, obviously, and also plus like just a couple of weeks ago, we saw what happens when large crowds of people, overly large crowds of people gather in groups and all that. And I'm sure managements of condominiums and security guards and all that since all these incidents have happened have been briefed more about watching crowds and being aware of crowd sizes and things like that lah, right? Because anytime there's a crowd, I think Itaewon proved that anytime there's a crowd in a small confined space kind of situation, bad shit can happen lah, right? And it is part of their job. It is their duty to manage the situation, and it sucks for people because you'll probably be stopped from entering a place, or you'll be asked to leave, or you're not allowed to enter, and things like that. And people are gonna get pissed off. But at the end of the day, a lot of these security guards and police personnel and even soldiers, they're just trying to do their job to keep everyone safe as well. So I wouldn't. I think that's the first thing to remember when you're very angry about these things, is that these people are just doing their job, which is to keep you safe also lah, right? And before you paint the broad stroke of like, oh, it's racist and all that, I think you got to think about that lah. I mean, and he says like, oh, it's either you check everyone or you don't check anyone at all. That kind of like, it's got to be 1 or 0. And I'm like, you and I, we've been through army and all that lah, right? And there are protocols and all, but sometimes the protocol also has to allow for certain nuances as well lah. Like if there's a certain number of people, then something gets triggered lah, right? You don't immediately go from, especially like let's say when you're doing guard duty, they always tell you you have to do this. There's this SOP for engaging lah, right? You can't just like, the moment you see someone, a trespasser, you don't realize, you take out your gun and you shoot him. You can't do that either, It's not 1 or 0. You kind of got to, you got to follow. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do is, halt who goes there, and then after that take out rifle, armed weapon, and then halt who goes there, and then after that fire warning shot in the air, and then fire warning shot 3 more times, and then after that, then you can shoot the person. So I know it sounds like that doesn't make sense. Like if you see someone dangerous coming, shouldn't you straight away be able to react? But no, that's not how it works. That's not how crowd control, that's not how security works. You still have to follow certain protocols, and the protocols may seem stupid to people who are not dealing with it or think that, everyone can make very good judgment calls on the spot, but that's not the case lah. So but I think the security guard here was trying to follow certain protocols, and maybe the protocols are outdated and wrong and in some ways discriminatory. Then that needs to be addressed, and not the security guards.
That means like what? If you see 30 Indian men or women together,
30 men and women, let's leave it at that. Or 30 people, not men. It could be men, it could be women, it could be transgender, whatever. Like if you see a certain number of people, let's not add in that lens of race. Let's take out the lens of race.
Suddenly the protocol, the SOP, the illustration really are like 30 light-skinned colored people, there's a tick, then 30 dark-skinned cross. No, because it might also be the issue that it was a case of discrimination. It was a case of racism. And we're not downplaying that. It just feels like this video was done without finding out, the important details like that. Because if that's the case, it is a problem.
Yeah.
But then, let's say, like
so you're saying that the problem is that he is not following an SOP of like, or taking the steps like talking to management first or talking to the security guard first, and then if all that fails, then go and post a video lah, right?
I mean, but that one, who's going to enforce the protocol, right? There's no such things that we can't. Yeah, we can't say, hey bro, you got check management. Sorry, your protocol not passed.
Oh, then you cannot post on TikTok yet. Yeah,
you cannot post on TikTok. No, then the thing is like so this is where it gets tricky, right? Like so statistically, the people who do construction work in Singapore, renovations, might be of a certain skin color.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, just hear me out.
Okay. You have the
hear me
floor.
out.
And this is the I get, let's hand Harish the kryptonite against cancel culture lah. So like here you're invincible against cancel culture just for the next minute or so.
Just like sheer numbers alone, if and I would assume that most of the construction workers in Singapore tend to be darker skin just by numbers lah, and by numbers it just means more than half lah, right?
Yeah.
So That means if you see two people, if you see one, no, if there's a construction worker, there's a higher than 50% chance that he might be of a certain color, right? He might have a certain skin color.
Yeah.
So if there's a trend of like when they come in groups, they are doing construction work, and if it was late, is it? I know the right thing to do is to not jump to conclusions and discriminate, but is it? Can someone be excused for just assuming that okay, statistically that is the case?
Can someone be excused?
That was fucking tricky, yeah.
It's tricky. It's tricky. But that's where the protocols need to. I think protocols need to evolve with the times as well, right?
Yeah, and I guess that's the essence of discrimination, lah.
Yeah. In the sense of like risk, like for them, risk management. That's a big part of their job, lah, right? Like certain they have to make certain judgment calls on certain things, but there's also the risk that you might be accused of being racist. That's a risk.
Yeah.
So you need to incorporate that possible risk into the way you plan your protocols as well. No? Yeah. So
the risk goes both ways.
The risk goes both ways. Yeah, you can be overly careful about physical dangers and all that, but there's also reputational risk when your protocols seem targeted towards a certain group of people. It could land you in hot water or a lawsuit or something like that.
So in some way that is systematically and quantifiably coming up with things that protect against discrimination and by considering risk across everything, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 10 years ago, the risk of being called out as a racist was not that high.
Or someone posting about you on TikTok is very low risk.
Yeah. so you can discriminate, but now even let's say statistically it is more likely that for any vocation, not construction work, is of a certain race.
Yeah.
Like just looking from that efficiency model, you should apply this pattern or trend to that to help you in your judgment.
Yeah.
But what you're saying now in this day and age, that will come with its own fair share of risk. So maybe there's like a 20% risk of being cancelled versus 50%, 60% risk of being wrong or right. So you have to add it together.
Yeah.
So that means people making videos like this is moving the needle in the right direction.
Correct. I mean, you and I, we deal with that all the time, right? Like everything we talk about kind of pushes the edge of like what is acceptable, conversation in Singapore, right? Talking about racial issues and things like that. But we accept that we live with that slightly nagging, unsettling feeling of that risk being there, right? That we could cross the line and someone gets offended and wants to cancel us and all that. But we live with it and we try to mitigate it by taking certain measures. So I think every day, I mean, for definitely as a company or institution or what, you have to factor that in, that everyone has a camera, everyone has a TikTok account now. And, when if you don't update your processes and all, you could end up risking your reputation online.
So all the infographics in your manuals cannot show like 30 light skin, 30 dark skin. It might be 30 like heterogeneous people, like different colors and all that, and focus on the number, not the color. Maybe make your manuals black and white. No, but black and white can still see shade.
I think like emojis are all yellow color, right? They're all like Simpsons.
But then now
color,
got different shades of emojis.
Yeah, so that gets tricky also. Don't like if you don't want if you want any ambiguity, just choose a purple or a person or something.
Terrence, if you ever send me a thumbs up, a dark skin one, I'll be like, hey, fuck you, Terrence.
Yeah, I've come to the point where like I literally like have stopped using like what I think is Asian like Chinese colored emojis already. So I just use like the standard yellow color.
Is
emojis.
it?
Yeah, because I realized like it's such a clear marker of who you are, and it seems like, are you trying to say something about who you are or trying to differentiate yourself from other people, or so it just gets too complex. So I just like, okay, I just use a standard yellow color. I'm not going to use like
no, but yesterday midnight you sent me a thumbs up with a light skin one.
Oh, sorry. I got made a TikTok video. I got made a TikTok video about racism and discrimination in Singapore. Yeah, so maybe now I have to go
skin one, you asshole.
It's called auto correct like fucking Apple keyboard. They just They take away my
Don't blame
yellow skin
autocorrect.
one. Yeah.
Don't blame. That's
they're
why you
using
send
my
a dick
old
pic. Oh,
one.
my account got hacked. No. Sorry. You cannot use that. You cannot use that.
No. I am gonna officially now. I'm just gonna revert to yellow emojis and nothing more.
Yellow, the default, the status quo. Yeah, be okay with the status quo lah. Always, right?
Correct.
You're always.
And then if anybody makes noise
man.
about yellow skin, I mean, I'm the yellow skin. I'm part of that group that gets discriminated against and called yellow skin. So it's okay. You can't hurt me, man.
Can't hurt you, Can't hurt you.
Yeah.
Can't hurt you. But, wow, that was a interesting topic, lah. Interesting topic.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
interesting topic.
But speaking of reputational risk and all that, actually our goofy topic is I think it'll be on everyone's lips for quite a number of at least for next couple of weeks leading up to the World Cup. And I know you are also personally very disappointed with this news as well. Can you explain to everyone what is this?
Conflicted. So I mean, I'm sure everyone listening knows of a certain individual called Cristiano Ronaldo, right? But he's been in the news recently for not the best reasons. It's because he recorded a tell-all 90-minute interview with Piers Morgan, who is himself a very polarizing figure in the UK, where he talks about how he's been betrayed by his current club, Manchester United, and how he doesn't respect the manager, and just explaining why he's not friends with certain ex-teammates he used to play with. And snippets of the interview have been teased. It's actually dropping tomorrow morning Singapore time and Friday morning. I think it's in 2 parts.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's been trending on Twitter for the past week. Like, people are divided, even though I would say more people are against him right now. So maybe you need to give some full context also.
Yeah, I think you can give a high level context.
Very high level. 2003, Cristiano Ronaldo came when he was 18. Started off as like a dribbler.
Came to Manchester United. He joined Manchester United when he was 18.
He joined Manchester United.
Don't talk like everyone is a Man U fan. You're like, he came.
What did I say? He came?
Yeah, you said he came. I'm like, huh? Came to where? Came to Singapore? Came to Liverpool?
He came to Earth.
Came to where?
He graced us with his presence.
He went to your club. Yeah, you're doing that thing where the fan of the club talks to us like, oh, he came to us when he was 18. I'm like,
okay,
us?
Clearly I'm a Man U fan and a Ronaldo fan. So 2003, he came as a precocious. He came to Man U as a precocious teenager, and he got better and better. And in 2008, 2008, he took the club to like some amazing glory. He was the World Player of the Year. Then 2009, he went to Real Madrid, and for the next 8 years, he and Messi were basically dominating the global football scene. And every year it was just between 2 of them to win the World Player of the Year for a period of 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
Then he went to Juventus. He became top scorer, second top scorer, and he was there for 3 seasons. And then last year he came back to Manchester United at the age of 37. So started off, Man U was shit at the time. He came, everyone was fucking happy. I was so psyched. He ended up as top scorer, but Man U had a shit season. And this year, a new manager came, Erik ten Hag, and he's implemented his own style of football, which doesn't really suit Ronaldo. So this season in particular, Ronaldo has been featuring a lot less. And along the way, he's thrown some tantrums about not being fielded. He missed preseason and he's wanted to leave, but apparently the club doesn't let him. So at this point, it's just fucking messy. It's just sad. And now with this interview, right, a lot of people who have been defending him are now like, oh, why he say this?
Yeah.
Why? How can you get away with this?
Yeah. And I understand that there might be people who are, not even anywhere close to the realm of football, being a football fan, right? Who might be thinking their eyes are glazing over at hearing about this, like, oh, it's some football thing we're talking about. But actually, if you really look at it from a very high level, right, this is basically the star performer at your workplace coming out, let's say, on social media and bitching about what he's not happy about, or he or she's not happy about in the workplace, right? And rather than going through, like what we said about SOPs, going through management or going through the hierarchy and all that, they just skip all that and just go straight to the media and just say, I hate the current workplace, it's terrible. I just I love the workplace so much. I care so much about it that I have to speak up about it, lah, right? So that's a little bit of what is happening now, and that's why I think it's more than just a sports story. It's become a bit more mainstream than that, lah. It's really someone who's a global icon, who has transcended even the sport. I mean, he's one of the most followed people on Instagram, or the most. Is he the most followed?
I think
500
the
million?
most 500 plus million.
500 million, the most followed person on Instagram, basically coming out to the world and saying, you know, I can't stand working where I'm working now. Can't stand my employer, can't stand my boss. And yeah, this is what it sounds like to everyone. That's why I like what you said, there's a lot of negativity, all these negative reactions to what he's doing. But you say you were conflicted. And can you explain why you yourself are feeling conflicted about this?
Okay, I won't deny that I am a huge fan of Cristiano Ronaldo. And to me, he is the greatest player of all time, above Messi.
Yeah.
I will say that and I will defend it to the death. But I mean, of course, he's a bit petulant. Sometimes he's mama drama and all. But I just admire his work ethic, his perseverance, and how, like, no matter the pressure, the fucking haters, the negativity, he still always manages to kick ass. So I have unbiased loyalty to Ronaldo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say more like just loyalty, because literally watching him when he was 18, he's like 1 year younger than me, right? It's really like watching this guy, like, oh fuck, this guy, and like just destroy teams. And of course, against Messi and him, it was just, I don't know when else we will see a rivalry like that. Like, it's like Federer, Nadal, you know, that kind. But in this case, like what he did, I mean, it's just the concept of a team sport, right? If you put yourself ahead of the team, that becomes annoying, and Man U, they are getting momentum. You know, they have a decent team right now.
Yeah.
And the timing of this also, last weekend was the last match of the Premier League before they break for the World Cup. Right? The games are only going to resume, I think, end of December maybe.
Yeah.
And Man U won their last game.
Yeah.
And like this 18-year-old guy just scored, and like there was a lot of like excitement. And the first teaser of this Piers Morgan interview came like a few hours after that. Then it feels like, and even a few matches ago when they beat Tottenham, which is a pretty good team, 2-0, it was a great performance. But all the headlines were dominated because Cristiano Ronaldo walked into the tunnel, the dressing room, like a few minutes before the match ended.
And he refused to come on as a substitute, right?
Yeah. So it just feels like, because okay, so I mean, I guess why I'm conflicted is because I used to play hockey a lot, right? And hockey is a team sport.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm thankful that I ended up captaining a lot of the teams that I played in, and one big thing is that it is a team sport. You get out of line, you shut the fuck up, and you don't be a prima donna. It's about the team sport. It's a team sport. It's a team sport.
Yeah.
So when you see this, it's like, hey, Ronaldo, like, no matter how big a fan people are of you, why you do this? But then it makes me think that one thing that Ronaldo is known for, aside from, okay, like maybe diving and petulance, is that his intense professionalism, right? Like, he's known to be the first to training, last to leave training, and he takes care of every aspect of his life to optimize for being a good footballer. So why the fuck would he do this?
Yeah. Because this is
like, why?
This is the epitome of not being professional, right? Airing your workplace grievances on social media or in public, and avoiding talking to your boss. Like you said, the timing is that he doesn't have to play. He doesn't have to face the fans or his boss or anything because he's literally in another country and all that, right? So it's also it is very. It is very puzzling why someone who his whole life has been held up as a model for professionalism in the sport, right? And idolized for that, right? The fact that he would turn around and do this, which I think, like you said, it is very out of character and unprofessional,
Yeah, and I mean, he's 37 now. He's going to turn 38 in February, I believe.
So that's the thing. I could even say that, this is a generational thing where they maybe they don't understand how the workplace operates and this is how you treat people. He's like 37 already. He's not even that generation that where you say, okay lah, they're very young, they're very emotional, they don't understand the gravity of the actions. He has to know that everything he does will be scrutinized and will be looked up to by, will be looked at by young people and all as well, right?
Yeah, and I mean, he is a leader, right? He is a leader of teams.
Yeah.
You have seen him step up to the world stage, and he's 37, turning 38, and the greatest of all time debate between him and Messi, it's still split lah. You know, there's no one clear. Of course, you talk to people who think Cristiano Ronaldo, they say, "Oh fuck, of course it's undisputed," but it's not clear, and the World Cup is coming, so it feels like he still has a chance to build his legacy. You know?
Yeah.
So, but the fact that he did this, then I think, wow, fuck, what happened? Like, is it that jala? He did mention certain things about his personal life.
Yeah.
And then you feel like, that's why, like as much as I've seen online the chatter, I want to watch the interview, and even then, it just feels like there must be something going on.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have a history of like going ape shit like this. You know, Kanye West, he does something, it's almost like, okay lah. He's struggling with something like, you know, he's struggling, but Ronaldo just feels so like, why?
Yeah, I think the specific there are people who are saying that there is some truth to some of the things he's saying. For example, he pointed out that the facilities, the infrastructure at the club hasn't improved since he was there as a teenager, right? It's the same gym, it's the same facilities, the same swimming pool, the same kitchen, the same chefs and everything. So it feels like the club, there hasn't been an investment in improving the club infrastructure to keep up with the times. So that, I think a lot of people say is a very valid criticism of the ownership and the management. That's like, you know, saying that, hey, you know, we need a better workplace. We need better workplace conditions so that we can do our work better, right? So I think that in some sense people say, okay, that you can criticize that and that's fine. Then I think he also mentioned that the club was very unsympathetic and almost felt like they were unsupportive of him when he claims that he had to skip the preseason because his daughter was sick lah. And if you don't know the story intimately, actually he went through quite a devastating, I think, stillbirth of one of his twins. Like he had twin kids coming out, and there were one of the twins, I think the son came out as a stillbirth lah, and then the daughter survived, but then the daughter had to be warded in the hospital for I think he said bronchitis or something. And because of that, he didn't want to leave his family side. And when he told the management or he told the senior executives at the club about it, they apparently he insinuated that they didn't really believe him lah. You know, so that I think really triggered him off as well, which I understand, as any parent would understand. Like your child's health is the most important thing, and everything else just falls away whenever there's anything to do with your children's health, right? So it would be really triggering if your employer was like, you know, I don't believe what you're telling me. You got to come back to work, right? So I understand the anger there as well. But yeah, other than that, like there's a lot of other aspects of what he said that I was like, this. I mean, I get his frustration with the workplace, but a lot of what he's saying is unprofessional. Like when he's talking about his ex-teammates, he's talking about why are they criticizing me? You know, if you were me in the dressing room, you really shouldn't be talking about me in this way. And you know, like he's talking about Gary Neville, he's talking about Wayne Rooney, all these players that he used to play with and apparently was good friends with, but now he's like, I don't talk to them and all that kind of thing. So that to me just sounds like then you're being a bit petty already about this whole thing. It's not just about you trying to improve your workplace or improve conditions for you and your colleagues. It's about you just having personal vendettas against certain people.
Yeah, because along the way, I mean, like it's been such a roller coaster. Like even like the case where he had one child pass on because of stillbirth, right?
Yeah.
That weekend he played a game for Man U, you know? Yeah, and I mean he has been so loyal to the club. That's one aspect, like. But then along the way, even recently, I think Gary Neville, who was his teammate for like I think 5 years, lah. He was saying, because now Gary Neville is a sports pundit and he commentates a lot, and he did say Ronaldo has to leave. So the next week, when Gary Neville was doing the intro to the show on the pitch with two other footballers. Ronaldo walked past and he said hi to the other two and he just ignored Gary Neville.
Yeah.
And then a few months before, Jamie Carragher made some comments and he ignored Jamie Carragher.
Yeah.
And I think he even said that he doesn't respect the manager because the manager doesn't respect him.
Mm-hmm.
So then it just feels like, wow, this is very sad because even years before, there was one famous story of like how Rio Ferdinand, who was the captain of Man U then, a solid defender, he said, I think someone got a ping pong table like Patrice Evra or something, and they invited Ronaldo to go over to play, and Ronaldo was like 21 lah. And Patrice Evra beat Ronaldo lah. So what Ronaldo did was he bought his own table. For the next 2 weeks, he trained every day, and he invited Patrice Evra over and whacked the shit out of him lah. Right? So those sort of stories are endearing, but when it rears its head like this, right, it really is inexcusable lah.
Yeah. I mean, I have heard that one thing also is we haven't heard Man U's side of it lah, or even his coach Eric Ten Hag's side of things, right? Because all he said that is all we've heard so far from interviews that the coach doesn't respect me, so I don't respect him. But that's a very loaded statement. Like, what does it mean when you say the coach doesn't respect you, lah, right? So there has been some speculation from pundits as well that was he lied to about something? Is there a possibility that he was told certain things about you will get a definite amount of playing time, you are definitely in our plans and all these things, but then later subsequently the situation changed, so that could make him feel like, yeah, I'm not being respected, my view is not being respected, you're telling me one thing and doing another. Yes, so there is a possibility that he feels away, but again I would go back to saying that that doesn't justify you going to the public about it, right? I think it's still something that you do need to sit down and talk with your employer, talk with your boss, direct boss about, and try those avenues first before you just straight out say that he doesn't respect me, so I don't respect him, right?
So that's where I think it's an important thing to note also, that if you're listening and maybe don't have the context of Man U has been in shit situation the past few years lah. Sir Alex Ferguson left in 2013, I think. And he's the legend of Man U who built up over 20 years, one of the greatest teams ever. But since then, they've gone through like 4 managers. Last year, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, a player turned manager, got sacked, and it's just shit. And there's been so many protests about getting the owners, the Glazers out. And it seems like the management is shit lah. And I do recall one interview previously also with Anthony Martial, who's a forward at Man U who hasn't really fulfilled his potential, but he came out in an interview and said that under the previous manager, he was forced to play when injured. And he was mistreated, and it was quite a revolutionary interview because he had a sudden dip in form over the past years, and it was not clear lah. And then I also remember that in Sir Alex Ferguson's days, there were players like Rooney himself who lashed out. Roy Keane, the legendary captain, he was booted by Alex Ferguson for disrespecting him. David Beckham, Jaap Stam. So, I mean, in a sport full of like big egos, big personalities, there will definitely be clashes lah. This one just so happens it's Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure you're going to watch the interview also, or find some way to watch it, right? But do you think this will tarnish his legacy or not? Because okay, I watched him when I was in 2003. There are people who are watching him now who may not even have been born. No?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So, like when people tell us about Pele, Maradona, it's hard to compare them to, say, Messi because we never saw them.
Yeah, correct. So your question is, will it tarnish his legacy in terms of how people see him?
Then he's the greatest player of all time.
Yeah. So I think in recent years, I mean, I used to think like that, when the discussion of the greatest of all time comes up in any sport, right? Whether it's tennis or basketball and all that, I used to have very strong feelings about, but you got to look at the statistics, the numbers and all these things. Like Michael Jordan, nobody scored like Michael Jordan. Nobody won nobody was as dominant in NBA finals as Michael Jordan. Or back in the days when Federer and Nadal were, and Djokovic were battling it out. And I was like, Federer has the most Grand Slam titles and that makes him the greatest of all time. There's no other discussion about what makes you great, right? But in more recent years, maybe as I age, or maybe as I'm really start to understand a bit more about each sport as well, I've come to realize like this greatest of all time debate. It's firstly it's impossible to really come to a definitive answer, lah, right? I think especially when you're comparing across eras like Pele, Maradona, Messi, Ronaldo, it's different eras, different technology was available to each of these players, different even in tennis, different rackets were available to players. So you can't really compare that way. So you kind of need to look at, when you talk about greatest of all time, what I've realized is you kind of need to look at holistically where their whole career has been and what kind of ups and downs and they've gone through in their careers and how they've impacted the sport in general to really think about whether they're the greatest of all time. Lah. So for example, like in the tennis discussion, like Roger Federer doesn't have the most Grand Slams ever, lah, right? But his impact across generations of tennis, across multiple, across decades of tennis, the number of people he pulled into the sport, the number of people even today that still idolize him and still, watch the sport because of him is unrivaled, lah, right? Whether by Nadal or Djokovic and all. No matter how many championships Djokovic wins, he will never be as beloved or never bring in as many eyeballs to the sport as Roger Federer has, lah, right? So in my mind, that really would put a feather in the cap and say that that's what makes Roger Federer the greatest, lah, or one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time, lah. And on the flip side, I think we recently in the past 2 years we've watched The Last Dance, right? The documentary about the Chicago Bulls. That actually made me think that maybe just blanket saying Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time also isn't the best look, lah, because if you really watch the documentary and think about how Jordan treated his teammates, or how even up to this day he's not giving props to his teammates, and how so many of his teammates are still like Scottie Pippen, are still so bitter about how they were treated by Michael Jordan and all. Did he really foster a very a great team environment for everyone? Of course he won the championships, of course he carried the team to the finals and all, but did he make players around him better, lah? So that's also another big thing that comes into consideration, especially when it comes to team sports, right? Like what kind of impact you have not only on the sport but also the people around you, the fans around you and all. So that made me give me pause about just blanket saying Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time, because people are talking about someone like LeBron James or who has had a huge impact on the sport and has brought in a lot of eyeballs. He definitely is not as motivated to win as Michael Jordan was, but he has done a lot that Michael Jordan didn't do for the sport, lah. He's spoken up for social causes as well. So is there argument for him being one of the greatest of all time? Yes, definitely, lah. So yeah, to me it's like what Ronaldo is doing now is definitely tarnishing that side of his legacy, that side of him being the consummate professional, that side of him feeling like this is the guy that you can depend on to be the team player, the team captain, the leader for the group, lah. That's the aspect that I think is tarnished, and definitely it will affect future discussions on whether he was really the greatest of all time, lah. I mean, okay, that's my long spiel about it. How about you? Blanket, no, you love him. You're not gonna change your mind about him at all.
I would say it adds another facet to it, because I also do believe that for me, even specific to football, there's a difference between the greatest player of all time and the most talented player of all time. Like the most talented, hands down, like fucking Messi, lah.
Yeah.
He just does stuff that no one else can do. But is he the greatest? I will say that Ronaldo's legacy will be tarnished, but I actually think only slightly, slightly, because if you really want to look at it with a positive spin, he's speaking his mind, right? You can disagree with it, you can disagree with the way he did it, but he's speaking his mind, lah. And I mean, some of my favorite players of all time, like Roy Keane, lah, right? You can see him as a fucking asshole. He did some horrible tackles and all, but there's a certain respect there, lah. I still say that what Cristiano Ronaldo is doing now is fucked up. I don't think he should have done it, but I think maybe the impact on his legacy will be less than maybe what like people think at first, lah. I think over time it will just be a blip. There's still the World Cup. A part of me still thinks that, okay, Ronaldo in the past, if you look at his history, he's always thrived when people hate him for some reason. So now maybe this is the additional fire he needs to go and win the World Cup and become top scorer with Portugal. So I hope that's his ultimate master plan.
Yeah.
I hope, but yeah lah. Like I think at this point it's hard to side with him lah. And I also feel like fuck, I'm dreading watching the interview lah.
Yeah.
I'm dreading it.
Yeah. And I mean, I get what you're saying, but remember that. I mean, Manchester United fans will never think of him the same way again lah. Right, for sure.
Yeah lah.
Yeah. And how many Manchester United fans are there around the world, and how many people who looked up to him and grew. I felt that almost like when he came back to Man U, like what is it?
It was like, oh my god.
It was the return of the prodigal son, I remember that whole thing. It felt like
Peter Drury, right?
Yeah, there was like a whole ceremony, and then it was just such a the commentary that Peter Drury, is it? He
Peter
said
Drury.
it was so poetic.
Reeved in red. Yeah.
I think even me, I'm not a fan of Manchester United, but I was excited to see that, like this kind of loyalty being shown by one of the greatest icons of the sport, like loyalty to a club that he grew up with, So for sure that is gone. That's tarnished forever. And if he ever appears in front of the Man U fans again, which I don't think he will, I think it'll be a very mixed reaction at the very least, right?
Actually, that one I don't know. I don't know.
What do you mean? As in,
I don't know, yeah. Like, I think it'll be maybe not as fervent, but
no,
yeah,
so I'm saying
it
might be 50-50 lor. Because there are fans who are very upset with the current senior executives and the owners of the club as well lah. They also feel the club hasn't progressed since then. So Ronaldo is just speaking his mind about things. But you can't deny that under this new coach, Erik ten Hag, things have been looking better for Man U, right?
Yeah,
things have been picking up. And if anything, this throws a spanner in the works. This makes everyone down again. It makes everyone feel like, the club is going nowhere again. And to say that you are doing this because you love the club, because you love the fans, doesn't this go against that, Like bringing everyone down, making it about yourself and your relationship with the club and not about where the club is at now. So yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to argue. But I would want to ask you something lah. So, this kind of reminds me of a situation that you and I were in at one point when we were EPing a show. We were EPing a show.
What's EP? What's EP?
Oh, sorry, we're executive producing a show. So we were pretty much like the managers or the coach of the club lah, right? We were executive producing a show, and so we put together a team that we felt was awesome, and there were a lot of very talented people in the team lah, right? But I think we faced a situation where one of the very talented people in the team started to, do certain things that were very out of line lah, right? We felt like speaking up against us or publicly trying to make comments, those insinuating those comments that were questioning our decisions and all these things about certain things. And we had very strong feelings about that lah, right? So watching this Cristiano Ronaldo situation kind of reminded me of that situation where we had to react as we were like the Erik ten Hags in that situation, where we had to think about, okay, there is someone who's very talented on our team, and we always thought that, okay, like he's definitely got ego, he's got personality, he likes to speak his mind and all these things, all positive traits are right. But at a certain point, we felt like, okay, this is rocking the boat way too much already, and we can't deal with it anymore. And we had to take very severe actions to change things, right? Which essentially was like, okay, if you're not going to change, you got to pack up and leave, right? That's essentially the ultimatum we gave. So when you compare those two situations, like, do you think like you would have said what you're saying now, like, but yeah, he's like, maybe this will give him the fire to want to perform better. Like if I let him just throw a tantrum and all this, would you say the same things?
No. So if I take off my fanboy hat, I won't deny, okay, I'm a fanboy, okay? Yeah. This talking about this topic is making me feel like so fucking conflicted, but I'm a fanboy. But the moment I take that off, if I'm Erik ten Hag or even in the position that we were at as EPs, I'm like, fuck you, get out.
Yeah. Fuck you,
there's
even
no
if
doubt.
If your first name is Cristiano, get the hell out of here.
Get out. You get out. This is the team thing. If there's a crack, you make the crack bigger. You're not helping, you get out.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think you know, just now I mentioned that I got the chance to like captain the sports team. You know, I look back at certain things I did also. I'm like, oh shit, I could have done better. Like I could have done better, and it was a very very big learning journey. And then I look up at the people around me who were also captains or leaders, and you realize that you really do you can't just favor one person or not. And I've read some people that say, oh, you know, if you have a star performer, you should build it around that star performer. And sure, some people might be able to make it work, but I would rather not lah. I really don't think that is good. And that's why for this, if I was even Cristiano's teammate, I'd be like, yo man, what the hell are you doing this for? Yeah, what the hell? So now it's interesting to see what happens in Portugal, because the one of the very influential players in Portugal, Bruno Fernandes, is Ronaldo's teammate at Man U.
Yeah, correct.
You know, so it just feels like, wow, this thing is like, yeah lah. So it depends what hat I wear lah. What hat I wear lah.
Yeah. So I mean, I made it sound like we were very decisive about it. But actually no. I think if you and I remember correctly, if I remember correctly lah, right, we were hemming and hawing about it a lot lah, right, about how to handle this situation. Like we needed the talent on our team. We needed to keep the schedule. We needed to keep the boat afloat and things like that. Can we deal with just changing things up and all that? But I think in retrospect, you know, the moment we said, okay, no, we put a hard line and said, no, let's stop this shit. And if not, it's over, right? I think that's the moment when things actually improved, right?
Yeah.
So, like you, I do think that, you know, the Erik ten Hag, the coach of Man U, needs to be very, very decisive about this. No more, like, it's very clear that Ronaldo's career at Manchester United is over.
Done.
And even if it means just like he sits around and just earns his salary for the rest of the year, whatever, he's never stepping to the club ever again.
Yeah. And I mean, that was one of the learning experiences for us, right? I mean, in future, whatever team we have to assemble and all that, if there's someone who's causing cracks to form, nah, man. Out.
The hard part the hard part is finding out, like, are these cracks that will, like what you said, cause people, motivate others to work harder, or are they the cracks that will just like slowly seep into everything, like, almost like a cancer, and just like quietly just, you know, kill motivation for everyone. And in this situation with Ronaldo, like you said, like, unfortunately, I think that it's that kind of quiet cancer that will kill the entire mood in the whole dressing room. So they have to get rid of it, lah.
Yeah.
You can hear how difficult it is for Harish, because he's like,
man.
It's the cognitive dissonance of idolizing this man for like what, 20 years, and then he turns around and does something that is completely against your ethos of how someone should conduct themselves, lah. Yeah.
But he's been building towards this, lah. I don't know, lah.
It has, but it's still surprising to me, because I think we've always known that he's got an ego. We've always known that he wants the best for himself and expects the best of everyone else, including the club. But I've always seen that as, okay, that is the, you know, it's the double-edged sword of getting a super motivated, super talented person in your team, lah. But you know, I think he's brought it to a point where you can't justify it and say that it's to motivate everyone else, lah. Yeah, it's gone to the point where it destabilizes everything, and he has to go, lah.
So I know, like, Messi and non-Man U fans, especially Liverpool fans, are loving what's happening. But just gotta move on.
Yeah,
got to move on. Every day I'll just watch some Cristiano Ronaldo highlights from previous years to make myself feel better.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This is Harish dealing with the cognitive dissonance right now. It's very uncomfortable. It's very unsettling.
It's very uncomfortable.
It makes him, you can hear it's making him depressed.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah.
So maybe it's time to move on to some Shiok things, man.
Yes. What is your
some Shiok things?
One Shiok comment?
Would you like to go first?
Yeah. I think one of the One Shiok things that I had recommended previously about Dahmer, the I think it was the Netflix show about Jeffrey Dahmer, the serial killer. You know, question Grouchy 134. It says, Thanks, Terrence, for the intro to Dharma. Interesting show. So I mean, it's pretty awesome that people are really listening to our One Shiok things and trying them out for themselves and discovering that they love it as well. Because sometimes I just wonder, like, are we just speaking? Are we just barking at a tree or something, like saying that this is our One Shiok thing and nobody gives a shit, but apparently people do. So it's a nice reminder once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you ever take up one of our One Shiok things, let us know lah.
Yeah.
You know?
Or start a discussion
Let
about
us
it or
know,
something.
man.
So that other people
that's
can also talk about it. Yeah. If not, just very it just feels very egoistic to just like, oh, this is what I like, and then everyone just keeps quiet. You're that guy at the
meet
party.
up with a friend. Yeah. You meet up with a friend. I like this. I like this. I like this.
Or I've done it before, like, I've done it before. Like, we're at a party and I'm like, hey, everyone, let's watch this YouTube video. And then I throw it on TV and then everyone's like, what the fuck is this?
No, and you know that feeling, because I've done that too. And it's the worst feeling in the world when you have this super funny video, you put it up, you show your friends and nobody laughs.
Yeah. Or you tell
then I'll say stuff, it's only 1 more minute, one more minute left. Then you skip forward a bit.
Yeah, or you try to watch a movie. I love this movie. Let's go. And then you're sitting there watching people watching the movie. And then people start checking the phone or falling asleep. Then you're like, what the fuck?
It's fucking terrible, yeah.
Yes.
So the One Shiok thing is like, we're just throwing it out there. And if some of you resonate, just let us know, man.
Yeah.
Let us know. Cool. All right.
What is your One Shiok comment?
My One Shiok comment. My One Shiok comment was something posted by long-time poster Jungle Jimbo. Tifo Football, which is a publication house that I haven't heard of before. They have a 5-part series on Qatar hosting the World Cup and how this World Cup is a geopolitical event with wide-ranging implications and all that. And another user, SG Red Shah, also a long-time commenter, said, they gave the validation that Tifo Football is great.
Yeah.
And they give they're one of those outlets that take a different approach to sports reporting. Either going into the tactics, the stories, the history and all that. So I'm going to check it out. I haven't checked it out yet.
Yeah, I've been watching those videos for quite a while already, Tifo.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So it's really quite interesting because maybe I'm a bit more of a casual fan. So for me, it's like I never understood certain reasons why people say that this coach is better than that coach or these tactics are better than those tactics, and why is everyone playing a similar kind of game now, and why aren't they playing that kind of game? So it does help you really understand from a one-on-one point of view, lah. Yeah.
Cool. All right, and on to the One Shiok things.
Yeah. I'll go first, lah. I think the One Shiok thing is just something I just recently discovered that I thought was a bit. I don't hear a lot of people discussing and talking about it, but it's this a Swedish show on Netflix called The Playlist. But it's about something that everyone's very familiar about. It's about the founding of Spotify or the ascension of Spotify, and then it goes into the founder story of Spotify, a dramatized founder story of Spotify. So it's in Swedish, and you need to read subtitles, but I think Spotify is one of those things where it's such a huge service, it's such a huge company, but definitely you don't hear as much about the founder as you do about like Facebook or Apple or any of these other US tech companies, right? So the fact that this drama is in Swedish as well makes it feel much more real as well. And I don't know how much of it is real, but it's it's been an interesting watch. I'm only one episode in only, but so far I like what I've seen.
Oh yeah, the place also is good because I saw it come out. I was like, do I want to watch it?
Yeah.
It seems interesting. It seems interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a mini series, is it?
It's just one season right now, mini series. Yeah, I guess it's probably, if it's really about the founding of Spotify, it's probably it'll only be one season.
I see. Yeah. Cool.
What is your One Shiok?
Okay. My One Shiok thing is this one video that I resurfaced. It's about you know Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's this one video on YouTube, and I'm just pulling it up now, called Rowan Atkinson Visual Comedy, .
Yeah.
And it just goes into the the way he approaches physical comedy and just clips of him doing his comedy in like a bit of the mindset and the philosophy behind it lah. So it's not one of those things that is not a live thing or actual Mr. Bean stuff. It's just going through like, I think it's a video essay lah, done by this random YouTuber. So it's by a small channel, like 500 plus subscribers, but this video is 200 plus K views, and it just goes into the philosophy of comedy, aspects of comedy, anchored in Rowan Atkinson lah. And then you realize Rowan Atkinson is like a fucking genius, and I think he got famous because of Mr. Bean, but there are clips of him talking through like comedy, which is just like, wow, this guy is a comedy genius. Like, he can make comedy come out of nothing lah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's a 47-minute video. I think I've just been slowly going through it when I have a bit of time. But yeah, it's good, man.
That's cool. I mean, yeah, I think a lot of people underestimate how much work it goes into creating Mr. Bean.
Yeah, and Rowan Atkinson is a genius. He's a comedy genius.
He is.
Comedy genius.
Yeah.
Legend. Just like but I mean, he didn't tarnish his reputation.
He didn't bitch about his employer.
He ended on a high note.
Yeah.
So Ronaldo, please win the World Cup and become top scorer. Please.
So that Harish can sleep at night.
Yeah, that's right.
So that it'll settle all debate about should I continue supporting this unprofessional man?
Yes, correct. Yeah. So Ronaldo, come on, man, do your thing, man.
All right.
Sweet.
Cool.
All right, cool. Thanks a lot, everybody.